Welcome. This video will cover inspection of the saw chain, how the saw chain works, and its important parts.
We always talk about the 5 parts of the tooth. What parts and angles really do the cutting? The depth gauge, the raker or drag, determines the aggressiveness, how thick the chip will be. The point or working corner starts the cutting process. The top and this angle determines the width of the kerf in the wood, how wide or narrow. The side, it cross-cuts the vertical or horizontal fiber, really does the hardest work. And then the chisel, works between the 2 vertical cuts and shaves or chisels out the wood chip. These 5 areas have been part of the design of the sawtooth since the late 1940s. There are some variations of size, pitch, and reactive force reduction parts, but the basic concepts have not been changed. To begin analyzing our ability to maintain saw chain, we have to pay attention to the original, the basics. We may be able to hand hone an edge on the cutting surface, but the design has to remain close to the original. Yes, you can make things cut a little faster and possibly smoother in some wood with a little modification, but most of us are not going to change out chain during the day for a change in wood species. Semi-chisel, round ground, full chisel, round ground, full chisel, square ground, and coming, the hexaground chains are all modifications to the cutter shape and grind to meet different types of the wood and professionals or homeowners' needs in a saw chain. As long as it's feeding in, we keep pulling chips. Think about a saw chain manufacturer has several types to meet the market, but each one has to be versatile enough to handle applications in several areas of the country or countries. Dry and hot, burn, dead and green, wet and muddy, all chain has to cut it all. Look to the parts to make a whole. And it's best to compare it to a new chain. And that's how you want that chain maintained throughout its life, is to look like a new one. But what do you look for to make sure all 5 parts are working as they should? What type of wear patterns can we identify that would or could tell us if the chain is tracking correctly? Is it rocking and rolling as it's designed? Also, think about gloves when working with saw chain. A slip with a sharp chain can make a painful start to the inspection process.
The place to start is with a new saw chain. That way you can understand what wear looks like. We always go back to the original. The tie straps, the drive links, the depth gauges, the cutters, all of these things help us to understand.
I was told years ago that you can tell more about sharpening from below the rivets than you can above. Let's see about that. Initial inspection focus should be on damaged points, abrasion or nicks on surfaces, broken teeth, bent straps or cutters, depth gauges filed down or not filed, wear at rivets, loose at rivets, wear below rivets at toe of cutter or the tie straps, teeth filed back beyond witness marks. All of these are things that we have to observe in order to be able to maintain, to correct or sharpen the chain. If in good shape visually, go back to the 5 parts to check for filing accuracy of the angles.
We look for worn teeth. Look for witness marks for wear indicators on the teeth. We look for any rust or sap-bound rivets. Broken teeth. Point damage. Excessive hook on the side plates. Depth gauges too low or too high. Drive link wear, rounding of the drive links. Toe wear of the tie straps or tooth. Worn at tie strap, tooth, heel. Rivet wear check. We check the flex side to side and also compress against the links to see how much wear is in the loop. If we understand, we can be able to evaluate any saw chain.
Chain 1. Drive link burrs and wear at link tips. Tooth angles are good.
And it's a 3/8 50 gauge Oregon saw chain. If we take a look at all the angles, pretty decent. Depth gauges are down within reason. Tops of the teeth are pretty much following the witness marks. Drive links are not showing excessive wear, no real wear below the rivets. Chain's back about 50% on the tooth length.
Chain 2. Drive links, no damage, but wear starting at the link tips. Teeth back about 50% and sides are hooked. Top angles rounded, and depth gauges down about right.
As you can see on this one, we've got a good bit of hook on the side plate of the tooth. Depth gauges are very little worn, if filed much at all.
Chain 3. Teeth back between 50% and 70%. Angles look good. Depth gauges filed just slightly. Wear beginning on heel of tooth and tie straps. Drive link tip wear is beginning.
The teeth are down looks like between 50 and 70% to the witness mark. Side angles as a whole look pretty good. Not too much wear on the tie straps and the teeth on the heel, but it's starting to happen there. And the drive links are starting to polish there pretty good. So that's chain number 3.
Chain 4. Teeth back about 70%. Top angles and side look okay. Depth gauges down slightly. Very little drive link wear.
Top teeth are about back 70% to the witness mark. Sharpening, side angles, and all look pretty good on that. Starting to see some point damage on some of the teeth, right hand side especially. No real drive link wear to speak of. Pretty well sharpened chain.
Chain 5. Very little drive link wear. Tops back more than 50%. Depth gauges way too low. Wear below rivets from depth gauge settings.
Very little drive link wear. Some of the tops are back to the witness mark. Depth gauges appear to be pretty low, and because of that you can see the wear below the rivets is a little bit more on the back of the heel than on the toe. All of the depth gauges are not set the same, so it appears most everything is free-handed on the depth gauges. We've got some teeth that are right back to nothing.
Chain 6. Teeth back 70%. Depth gauges different. Wear on tie strap heels and cutter heels.
Teeth are back about 70%. Depth gauges are all different, and starting to see some pretty good wear on the heels of the cutters and the tie strap. Also the The drive links are rounded over. So definitely the depth gauge setting has caused this one to be a little more aggressive towards the heels.
Chain 7. Rusty teeth back 50%. Some back 80%. Depth gauges different. Wear on heels.
And run across these a good bit. Pretty much it got left in the back of the truck, got wet or whatever, and ended up rusting up a little bit. So that's going to make the
Chain 8. It's a long chain. Teeth back 50%. Teeth broken. Depth gauges up and down. Drive links wearing at tips. Right side top angles differ from left side. A broken tooth.
Number 8, we had a broken tooth. The reason why it was kind of pulled out. No real damage there to rivets, but something took the tooth off. Looks like it was run a little while after removing it. It's kind of rounded over there in that position. Pretty good sharpening. The depth gauges are up and down though. Drive links are starting to wear.
Chain 9. Tops back between 30% and 50%. Top angles good. Depth gauges different. Drive links polished at tips. Points damaged on right side.
The depth gauges are different. The drive links polished at the tips. Points damaged on the right side. So if we kind of take a look at that, the right points.
Chain 10. Teeth almost to witness mark. Depth gauges down but not radiused. Drive link wear minimal. Some heel wear, most on ties and not teeth.
Teeth almost to the witness mark. Teeth almost to the witness mark. Has been depth gauges down but not radiused. And that has, you can see a little more heel wear. So depth gauges are going to be down. Chain's going to be pretty aggressive. The drive links radiused. One thing on this chain too, showing a pretty good bit of wear. You know, those things happen from, you know, a chain that's set pretty aggressive, end up with it wearing the rivets more, especially at the teeth.
Chain 11. Full skip chain. Teeth back 50%. Damage right side points. Drive link wear minimal. Even wear below rivets on straps and teeth.
Long chain again. This one is a full skip, so it's 2 drive links between each cutter. Teeth are back about 50%, and again a lot of damage to the right side points. You can kind of see that, and that's something that happens on a lot of chains, because I find myself, you get down close to the dirt, when you start to pull it out, you tend to kind of roll the saw to the right, and so if it does hit anything, that's where it's going to end up.
And chain 12. Some teeth back beyond witness top mark. Top angles are good on most. Depth gauges are down minimal. Shorter teeth showing more heel wear.
This one, I think he got his money out of this one.
Most of these probably taken out of service because of top wear or point damage being excessive.